I never thought a single evening could change everything. Yet here I am, replaying every detail in my head, still trying to process it. My name is Adrian. I'm 38, and I've been married to Celeste for 10 years. Our life isn't perfect, far from it, but it's ours. We have routines, responsibilities, and yes, the occasional argument. But I always thought there was a mutual respect underlying it all. That belief shattered last Friday. It started when Celeste invited me to her company's annual work party. I agreed without hesitation, wanting to be supportive, to show up as her husband, the one who's always in her corner. I dressed well, kept my tie straight, smiled when I met her coworkers, and tried to blend in without overstepping. At first, everything seemed fine. Light chatter, clinking glasses, laughter in the background. Celeste looked radiant in her navy dress, hair styled perfectly, eyes sparkling with the kind of energy that had made me fall for her all those years ago. For a moment, I felt that old warmth, the early days when we were untouchable, unstoppable together. But then I noticed him, Darian, one of her new colleagues, early 30s, charming in a way that seemed rehearsed, standing a little too close to her. He was laughing at something she said, leaning forward just a fraction too much, and I caught that sly, almost predatory smile. At first, I tried to tell myself I was imagining it. Maybe I was overreacting. After all, I'd been guilty of overthinking more than once in my life. But then he touched her arm, not casually. His hand lingered, brushing against her in a way that wasn't necessary. I felt my stomach tighten. There was a flash of heat in my chest, a warning I couldn't ignore. I stepped closer, subtly, keeping my voice calm when I spoke to her, hoping to mask the tension rising inside me. "Everything okay over here?" I asked lightly, smiling, making eye contact with both of them. She glanced at me, hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, just chatting," she said, but her eyes flickered to Darian briefly, and I knew she felt it too. The night progressed, and Darian didn't back off. If anything, he became bolder. A hand on the small of her back when she laughed, a whisper near her ear that made her shift slightly. I remained calm, observing, calculating. I didn't want to make a scene. Public embarrassment was unnecessary, and this wasn't about anger yet. It was about respect. It was about boundaries. I caught her outside on the balcony for a moment when a break in the music gave us privacy. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice lower than normal, careful not to draw attention. She hesitated, then nodded quickly. "Yeah, he's a bit much," she admitted quietly, eyes dropping to her hands. That's when the full weight of the situation hit me. It wasn't just about the party. It was about all the times I'd stood by her, protected her, and trusted that she would recognize when someone crossed a line. And now, it seemed, the line was being tested. I returned to the main hall, and by the time I approached them again, Darian was leaning even closer, joking about something that didn't matter. I stepped in, placing a firm but calm hand on Celeste's shoulder. She looked at me, a flicker of relief in her eyes, like she finally knew I was there. "Everything okay?" I repeated, keeping my tone controlled. Darian looked up at me, slightly startled, as if he hadn't realized I was paying attention. He laughed nervously. "Just joking around," he said, waving a hand dismissively. But I saw it in his eyes, the first hint of understanding that I wasn't someone to toy with. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't yell. I just said, evenly, "That's enough." And then it happened. The moment I had imagined countless times, but never actually thought would arrive. Darian smirked, perhaps thinking it was still a game, and reached a hand toward Celeste again. Without hesitation, I stepped forward and, with a calm precision, guided him gently but firmly away. I didn't need to shout. My posture, my presence, the cold clarity in my eyes said everything. There was no need for theatrics. He never saw what hit him because it wasn't a hit. It was the unmistakable, silent message that boundaries exist and crossing them has consequences. Celeste stood there, slightly wide-eyed, processing the moment with me beside her. I could feel the relief radiating off her. I didn't pat her back or offer reassurance. That wasn't necessary. My calm, controlled presence was reassurance enough. She didn't need words. She needed certainty, and I provided it without drama. The rest of the evening passed in relative silence. Darian stayed away, keeping his distance. I watched Celeste laugh again, lightly, but this time, not just for him. It was genuine, and I felt a small, quiet satisfaction in seeing her feel safe again. That's all I ever wanted. Not to dominate, not to embarrass anyone, but to make sure respect was restored. On the drive home, Celeste remained quiet, but I could sense her gratitude in the subtle way she reached for my hand. We didn't speak about the event in detail. It didn't need words. We both knew what had happened, and the dynamic had shifted permanently. I didn't need a lecture. I didn't need apologies. The line had been drawn, and I was content with the silent resolution. That night, as I lay in bed, I reflected on how many times in life people test boundaries without realizing the consequences. Sometimes, it's not a matter of anger or revenge. It's about clarity, decisiveness, and self-respect. Darian wasn't humiliated. He wasn't hurt physically, but he learned something far more important. Respect is non-negotiable, and anyone who ignores it risks being quietly but unmistakably corrected. I looked over at Celeste sleeping peacefully beside me and felt a renewed sense of partnership. Our marriage isn't perfect, and life isn't without challenges, but I've learned something vital. Being calm, controlled, and decisive in moments of potential chaos protects what truly matters. And sometimes, the quietest action is the loudest statement. By the time the weekend arrived, the incident at the work party felt like a distant memory. Darian had not contacted Celeste again, and her colleagues seemed to have noticed the subtle shift in dynamic without a word being spoken. The boundary was respected, the line was drawn, and for the first time in months, I felt an unshakable certainty in my role, not as a protector who overreacts, but as a husband who commands respect quietly, deliberately, and with unwavering clarity. Life has a way of testing patience and composure, and sometimes it's in the smallest moments that our character is defined. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I didn't let emotions dictate my actions. I acted with calm authority, and that was enough. That evening reinforced something I already knew but often forget in the chaos of everyday life. True strength is silent, boundaries are sacred, and respect, once earned and defended, becomes the foundation of everything worth protecting.